Good morning. I was called to make this audio this morning for Sabbatical, and I'm just going with that calling, curious to see what the spirit guides want to share through me today. I want to first thank you. This week has been a really beautiful unfolding and such a powerful, and I mean powerful, when I say that, you know it's true, a powerful opportunity for self-reflection, for learning about yourself, how you respond to change, and what comes up for you. You know, it's really interesting what sometimes triggers people. I'm curious if you are aware of your own triggers. You know, it's like how you show up to change in your life. And there are so many reactions to change, so many very natural, very healthy, very real ways to receive change, to work with the medicine of change. And you know, it's interesting for me because part of my soul work is that I have to evolve and grow. And as a teacher, I have to do that too. You know, I was a college professor for a long time, and I always taught core classes and electives. If you've been through university, you know what I'm talking about. You don't have to know what I'm talking about, though, for this to make sense. So I always taught core classes and I always taught electives. I taught undergraduates, and then I taught in a PhD program for most of my career. I was a doctoral professor. And, you know, the electives were the same every semester, every quarter. So I got comfortable doing that, and I was well known for it, and people enjoyed the classes and all of that. But where I got really excited was in the elective courses, because I was constantly innovating. I was constantly challenging myself to bring something new to the table. And I had colleagues who only wanted to teach core classes because, candidly, they'd been teaching for a long time, and they were able to pull out their notes every semester and almost read them verbatim. You probably had professors like that. I did too. And while I really appreciated their wisdom, especially the fact that it was layered wisdom, they'd taught that so many times that it was almost like something they could do in their sleep. You know what I mean? And a good professor can still bring that to life, even if they've done it 100 times. But that wasn't me. What was me was constantly pushing an envelope. I ended up co-creating the most popular elective that was ever offered in the history of the doctoral program that I taught in, and it was called Of Love and Leadership. And we had so many students enrolled that we couldn't fit them in the classroom, so we had to hold the class in kind of an auditorium. And we had so many students want to participate that we had more than a dozen students who signed up without even getting course credit for it. They audited the course because they knew I was retiring from teaching. I had gotten a job offer in the private sector and was going to be doing global learning design for a company and being able to travel all over the world. And so I took that job offer, and that was the last class I taught before I retired. And so people knew it was their last chance to learn with me at the university. And the professor that I co-taught and co-created that class with was in a similar position. And so students really wanted to be with us in that experience. And so they got into the class, and we handed out the syllabus, and it didn't have anything in it. And of course, we talked about it, like, should we give them a syllabus that really doesn't say anything? It didn't talk about assignments. It didn't really say what we were going to be teaching week to week. And then the final exam in that class that we created together was students had to answer one question. And they could answer it through an interpretive dance. They could answer it through a paper. They could answer it through a movie that they would film and create. They could answer it through poetry. But they had to answer one question. And the question was, how are you going to manifest more of what you love in the world? And so here are all these students who've signed up for this class, and they're so excited, right? They open that syllabus. These are people who need to get a good grade, right? They open that syllabus. They see that they're being graded really on one project with the most ambiguous, open-ended question that they've ever been asked. And they panicked. I mean, I thought the reaction was going to be, how fun is this, right? Like, I get to talk about my soul work for my exam, and I can dance it if I want. So I would say about a third of the students were like, fuck yeah, man, that is awesome. I am so excited to answer this weird question and have my entire semester's grade based on it. 2/3 of the class was like, are you kidding me right now? What is this? Is this rigorous? I don't know if I'm going to learn anything. Oh my God. They had that sort of like panic moment. No one left the class. And at the end of the semester, every single student review of that class was 4 out of 4, which is the highest score you can give a class. And people said of that class that it was the experience that changed their life the most. Most of those people in that class were in their 40s and 50s and 60s. They were finishing PhDs. They had been in higher education, some of them for more than 20 years, because some of them took a very slow path to the PhD. These are people who had been trained to sit with ambiguity. These are people who, if you do a PhD, I mean, that's at least a 15-year course of study. That's somebody who has extreme patience, extreme dedication, still really struggled in the face of ambiguity. And I'm sharing that with you. Maybe that's why I was supposed to do this audio. I'm sharing that with you because I really believe that out of all of the classes I've ever taught, including that one, and that was profound, I will tell you the whole class cried during every single student's presentation of how they were going to manifest more of their soul work in the world, more of their passion in the world, their love. I've never cried like that in my whole life. As a professor, to be able to sit and cry through students' presentations was liberating. Most of those people actually went on, this was 10 years ago now, most of those people actually went on to manifest exactly what they said they were going to do. And we still keep in touch. I'm in touch with all of those students to this day. I go out on a limb. I am fearless in my pursuit of my path. And so what I want to share with you is that this program, the Soul Shift program for 2019, was gifted to me. It was shown to me. It was laid out for me. I came out of ayahuasca journey and I spent about 8 hours writing. I took close to 40 pages of double-sided handwritten notes. And what I know for sure is that's clear guidance. And so I'm fearless in pursuing it. I know for some people it doesn't work as an option, and there are very clear reasons for that. But one of the things I want you to urge you to consider is how beautiful it is to see something, whether you participate in it or not, to see something co-created with spirit and brought into form. I can tell you that if you created something from your spirit and put it out there, even if I didn't like it, even if I didn't want to participate in it, I would still rise and bow to you for honoring the sovereignty of that vision. And to be honest, that's all I ask in return, is if you can just see the beauty of that. It would have been really easy for me not to follow that guidance and just use my notes. I'm sure you realize that, right? I could have just retaught Arrow Magic, retaught GemWise, retaught Sab. But that to me is akin to the professor who teaches the same core course every year, starting in the fall on Mondays at 3, and has their binder of those yellow notes and reads them. It's still beautiful teaching. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been beautiful, but it's not me. You know, my hope is that I'll get to teach for another decade maybe. And, you know, we'll see. I always follow spirit guidance. So however long they want me to teach, I will be of service in that way. I've been teaching for 22 years, so it's hard for me to imagine my life without teaching, to be honest. I'm 45. I started teaching when I was 23. I graduated from the University of California at Irvine. I was the valedictorian of my class, and I was accepted on full scholarship to the University of Southern California in a PhD program in comparative religion and literature. And when I started at USC, as part of my fellowship, they paid my tuition, but I had to teach one class a semester to undergraduates. And so I started teaching college students at 23. It was 3 days after my 23rd birthday. And so now here I am at 45, and I'm still teaching. I'm a little bit older and wiser now. And I'm more excited about my teaching today, right now, in this moment, at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, December 7th. I'm more excited today about my teaching than I have ever been. And so for those of you who are saying yes to Soul Shift, who are like, you know, I'm going to take the leap, I'm going to try it, I'm going to see what it is and what it creates in me, I want to thank you for honoring that calling, because I do think some of you are being called. And then I also want to honor those of you for whom it's not right. And I want to honor you and express gratitude for you who are still able to honor the vision in me, because I'm your sister too. And I have created something that literally vibrates and resonates in every cell of my body. I'll be honest with you, I wish that there was some place I could go to take an online class with someone who channeled a program and was as excited to teach as I am. I don't have that in my life, unfortunately. But it's interesting because I've always been called to offer the things that I don't have. I didn't have a lot of truly unconditional love growing up. I did from my father, but a little bit less from my mother. And yet I have been called in my life to love women unconditionally. I didn't have a model for that. I still don't know that I have a model for that. I don't think I've ever been really unconditionally loved by a woman other than my daughter. And that's okay. Like, I'm not mourning that anymore. I've done so much ceremonial work around that, I can't tell you. So ayahuasca in particular has shown me that she can be a source of that for me. And that's, I think, why I love that medicine so much. And I think that's also why I completely bow to the vision that she's given me, because she hasn't disappointed me, you know? And yet that's my work. My work is to hold you, to love you unconditionally. That's been tested this week. And yet I still love you unconditionally. And what's really beautiful about it is, I think when you're called to give medicine you don't have, it summons a strength in you. Because if you're able to give something that you don't have, and I see a lot of people in social media who are absolutely unwilling to give what they don't have. And their attitude is, well, I didn't get it, so why should I give it to you? I just fundamentally disagree with that. I think you can love people through And I think we're always called, especially as healers and empaths and shaman and medicine people, or whatever label really resonates with you. I think it's almost an obligation. It's part of the calling. And so thank you for the support and the beauty that you have given to me this week, even in challenging moments, because each one of those moments is such a huge opportunity for me and for all of us to step more deeply into truth. You know, the big medicine of my ayahuasca journey, same one where I channeled this course in October, was this concept of clean relationship, and that's what I'm going to be teaching partly next year. And I actually think there are some people who are not called to the program because they're not really ready to step into clean relationship. I haven't talked about that very much, but you're going to hear me talk all about it next year. And I think there are some people who are just not ready to be in that level of alignment with themselves. And so I become a proxy for that. You know what I mean? So, and honestly, that's good medicine. Like, if, coming into clean relationship means a full reevaluation of where you are relative to others. And if there's any kind of what I call stickiness or trickiness, you know what I mean? Like a disconnection between, how you are in the different parts of your life, next year's program would be a little difficult. But I will tell you something, physical health depends on clean relationship. That is the number one thing that ayahuasca taught me. In that journey, she showed me that pain in the body is actually where you're contracting consistently. So you consistently contract in the face of pain and trauma and sadness and anxiety, and where you consistently contract is where you get pain. But you only contract when there is a disharmony between who you truly are and who you show yourself to be, who you truly are, and how you show yourself to others. And not everyone's meant to come into clean relationship at the same time, because it's a process, especially if you've been embedded in some unclean relationships for years, and to some extent may not even be conscious of it. Do you know what I mean? Clean relationship means complete clarity, candor, transparency. A number of you have asked me why I've been so transparent this week, which is really funny. And the answer is clean relationship. It's really critical, because the next step of your work is really about refining you. It's chiseling away at the parts that are still crusted over. And we cling to the crust, right? Because the crust feels safe. It's like, my dentist uses a metaphor for it that I think is so apt. I always tell him, you're a spiritual teacher. He doesn't believe it, but he talks about the fact that when he cleans people's teeth and he takes the plaque off, they complain because it feels sharp and they feel their actual teeth outline for the first time. The plaque feels soft to their tongue on the inside of their teeth. And so it's uncomfortable to clean the plaque off. And they actually say afterward to him, I wish I hadn't had my teeth cleaned. And of course, his reaction is, are you kidding me right now? Like, that plaque can actually go into your heart and kill you. You know what I mean? Like, you have to remove that. Totally different perspectives. And neither one is wrong. It is more comfortable with the plaque. I mean, come on now. I also feel that way too. Every time I have my teeth cleaned every 6 months, I'm like, But it's absolutely what has to happen, even though I resist it. But there are some people who never get their teeth cleaned. He was saying he has clients who've come once and then never come again. They're like, nope, not going to do that. Want my plaque. Feels better. Feels safe. He's like, I don't judge him, but, I don't agree. Change is like that. Sometimes your plaque feels really good. I think that was a lot of the anxiety about, like, please don't change Sabbatical, and don't change the group, and don't change it. It's like, that's the plaque. It's a beautiful plaque. Okay. And the reality is I have found a way, a compromise to be able to still keep the sabbatical container for those of you who had a lot of that anxiety, and still maintain the integrity of the vision of the Soul Shift program. But I think it's a really good opportunity, whether you join the class or not. I'm truly coming to you from this place of like, because I would never want to convince anyone to join a program, especially one that is so profound. I mean, truly, I want to make sure everybody knows about it. So I'm talking about it a lot right now because, and believe it or not, every time I talk about it, there's still people who are like, wait a minute, what the hell's happening? Like, so that's why I know I have to keep talking about it, because a lot of people still don't know. But it is not an effort to convince anyone to join, because this has to be a yes from your soul. It has to be, because your soul has to be ready for this. This is no joke. Every other class I've ever taught in my whole life has come from me. Of course, spirit guides informing all the time. Certainly Sabbatical. The name of Sabbatical was given to me in meditation 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago. I haven't really taught anything that was just a gift. So I appreciate the fact that you're able to see the beauty in that. And I appreciate that you can also see me as a teacher. I learn along with you. I'm not just a teacher, I'm a student. And this is not only what I need to teach, this is also what I need to learn. And so it would be a disservice both to you and to me to not honor the integrity of it. And so we walk the road. I hope this has been helpful for you this morning. I hope it's helpful as you go to that looking within place and explore the inner architecture of your spirit right now. Recognizing that the shift is already happening, right? It's already happening. Whether you join it or not, it's unfolding in this moment. And what magnificent beauty there is. What magnificent beauty there is. One of the lines that Aya gave me in the journey, I think I shared this with you already, but she told me that I am a beautiful and uncomfortable reminder of what is true. And I said back to her something like, yes, I do think I'm a difficult reminder sometimes. And she said, you are not a difficult reminder. You are an uncomfortable reminder. And she said the difference is difficult is a blame word. Uncomfortable represents the state of what is. Difficult has judgment. So I am a challenging sometimes, uncomfortable sometimes, beautiful sometimes reminder of what is true. And that is a really, sometimes, fucking hard road to walk. But I said yes to this contract. And I think a lot of you raised your hand at the same time, like, well, if she's going to do it, I'll do it. But some of you didn't. And I want you to know how grateful I am for the time that we have had together. It's been very beautiful and uncomfortable. And how beautiful discomfort can be. Because when you're uncomfortable, that's when you're growing. My daughter's got growing pains right now in her legs, and so she's been crying, oh, it hurts, and I'm like, how beautiful is that? You're becoming a woman. It's uncomfortable, but it's beautiful. And now push through. You're going to see me holding a space of deeper accountability for energies next year. And that's part of the teaching too. A mirroring back, a questioning back, a holding back to you, reflecting back to you. And I think a lot of you are really ready for that. You know, a lot of you have said, I'm ready. Like, let's go. I'm ready for next level. I'm getting comfortable. How do we move through? And I would encourage you, if discomfort has not been your medicine so far in life, maybe change your vantage point. Because the most beautiful changes, even losing weight, for example, is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful. Getting healthy is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful. Journeying is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful. Learning something new, opening new neural pathways can be really uncomfortable. Stretching, testing your neuroplasticity, seeing what new options for ideation are available, that's uncomfortable, but it's beautiful. But I also really honor that there are some of you who want to stay where you are, keep doing what you're doing, not experience that kind of shift or change. And it may not be the right time for that. But I would encourage you to look around your life and think about how many places might be touched by a shift in you. You know, that relationship that you don't think is ever going to change, or that sadness about your past that you don't think you're ever going to be able to shake, or that grief over that loss that you're like, nope, I'm just going to have to walk with that. All those little pockets, it's a constellation of energy, right? So you shift one thing, everything else shifts. What could shift for you? Aho, and on we go. At this new moon, I encourage you to set an intention for leaning in more deeply to both the pain and the beauty of your life. Recognizing that my work this week has just been an opportunity for you, not only to witness me go through transformation, right? Like it's so weird. Like part of how I teach is by being. I'm sure you realize that, but I teach you by being. You get to see me go through things, and probably like watching an animal at the zoo. Sometimes like, wow, what will she do? And sometimes I, probably don't do such a great job. I try. That is my mantra. I always try. I never say no. I always try. Thank you for showing up to the capacity of your life, because you're doing it for generations past and future. And that's big work, big weights that you're lifting. And I see you. I wish you a beautiful weekend. If you have reflections on this audio, I would so love to hear them. Read them in your comments. May you be blessed and well always, and may your deepest inner knowing be one that you trust and follow. Aho. And so it is.